Nelson Mandela, Donna Summer, Bill Clinton, George Duke, Bob Seger, Princess Diana, Frank Sinatra, Anita Baker, Aretha Franklin, Celine Dion, Mariah Carey, Shania Twain, Gary Clark Jr., Tyrese Gibson, Denise Williams, Luciano Pavarotti, Olita Adams, Billy Crystal, Deborah Winger, Peebo Bryson, Luther Vandross, Earl Klugh, the Clark Sisters, R. Kelly. In one way or another, Grammy Award-winning mixer-producer Gerard Smerek has shared experiences with all of these. And fortunately for us, he's been a major partner at Yessian Music for the past 15 years. His work ethic and dedication has propelled him out of a rough childhood in Detroit into the fast lane, supporting some of the world's most renowned artists and dignitaries. He's not one to gloat, so I had to pry him into doing this interview. Gerard, take us to the beginning.
Oh, how this all started? Well, you know, it all, for me, started with the Beatles. You know, I'm definitely a Beatle baby. I was the youngest of 5, so there was a lot of music coming into the house from my brothers and my sister. I got to, you know, I was in the front row seat for everything, you know, Motown, the pop music at the time, the Broadway music at the time. Everyone had a different genre that they were into. When you saw that, you just wanted to do that. I wanted to express it more than just listening to it. And so at that point, I started asking for instruments. You know, I asked for a drum set. It was my mom who talked my dad into finally. I overheard some, just get it for him. You know, just get it. You know, I think just to shut me up. And so one Christmas I got a drum set from Sears. That became my salvation, my tool, my friend, my everything. I really dove into that full speed, and I would say it saved me. The popular thing is, you know, my friends are stealing cars. You know, there's people doing drugs. There's people, you know, it's not a good situation. But I had a purpose. I had a reason not to do these things. You know, I was gonna be something. I knew what it is, you know, that I wanted to do. Back in those days, I mean, there were 2 columns. There was like the college material and you have to find something where you can work with your hands. There wasn't going to be, you know, money for college. There wasn't, you know, this was not part of my path. You know, I could see that. So as I was getting to the end of high school, I started to go through the yellow pages. This was the internet of our generation, and I started calling studios, and I would say to them, you know, hey, I can, you know, are you looking for any help? I can, you know, I record my band, you know, I play the drums, I can tune drums, I can tune guitars, I could play guitar, I could set up instruments, you know, the whole thing. I would go through my whole spiel that I had, because the point is I had to find something, because high school was coming to an end, and my dad was looming with a job for me that I didn't want to do, or interviews that I didn't want to go to, and didn't want to be, you know, couldn't see myself.
It was factory work?
Being a part of it. He was a truck driver, so it was going to be something in this area, you know. So I started calling these studios, and it was always, you know, no thanks, you know. And finally, there was one where the guy was like, yeah, you got tapes? And I goes, yeah, I got tapes. He goes, all right, come down and bring the tapes, you know. And so I'm taking a bus from high school, and I'm going down to this place. Did I know what I was doing? No. But I was quick to listen and quick to learn. It was not easy, but at the same time there was something that was very, very natural about it for me, and I was in sync. I really felt in sync as I was doing this. And so we still had Funk Brothers in town. This was post Motown, but these guys were still roaming the streets looking for the next big thing. They thought they could still produce records and put product out. And they showed me how to cut a record. The lights were going off for me, you know, every day. And
how long did that experience go on with them?
This studio, I was at the studio for about a year and a half. I was making like literally no money, and it was getting very difficult. I needed a car. I was still taking a bus, you know, and I needed to make a bit more money for that. So I was pushing the owner to give me a raise and all that. But other people were drifting in the studio. Cat Stevens came in for a session, and he brought an assistant. The good part here is that he brought an assistant. I saw a good technique, and so observing this stuff and again learning, and then whatever I saw and whatever I experienced, I would try out on the very next session. Now with enough confidence to go, and I had a little bit of a resume, I went to Sound Suite for a while. This is where, and Don was there at this point, of course, putting together his sound. They'd give him the graveyard shift, starting at midnight and going until like 8 in the morning. And we would cut rhythm tracks, we would cut tracks all night, him funky tracks, again, trying to find that Motown sound, him trying to find his sound. He loved Motown. Dennis Coffey would come into these sessions, this is Sweet Pea, coming into all this stuff. This is where I met Louis Resto. And then from there, it just kept going around until I got to the point where I'll skip a few studios. There was a film studio that I worked at for a while. I learned about film mixing from Jerry Frederick.
That was special recording,
yeah.
which I worked out on there as well.
This was the facility that did the radio broadcast for The Lone Ranger. It was written and produced there back in the 40s, 50s.
Right.
It was a great studio, great old funky studio. Jerry Frederick was the mixer there.
Right.
And he was fantastic. This was mixing film, and my job was to assist him. Now I'm working with 35 millimeter film, and realizing what the 2-pop was for, what the clapperboard is for, learning frames and moving things frames. So literally frames. I'm talking about a row of dubbers, and unlocking sprockets. They had blank pistols, hammers, glass, cases to break glass into, mini door. I mean, they had everything. It was sound design, what we call today a sound design. But I learned a lot there. Yeah, I learned a lot from him. He was brilliant. Jerry Frederick was brilliant. He gave me the audio encyclopedia, which was, if anyone's seen that, it's a book that's literally this big. And he was just like, you need to read this, kid. There's always like, and I still have that, and I have, and I did read it. And
how old are you now when it's special?
I'm 19,
You're still young.
Say about like that, yeah. And but now I'm a veteran, and so now I've got the band going, I've got the job going, everything is cool. This is where I meet other people. Every time I go into these places, I'm meeting other people, and this is where I meet Jerry Selekia. This leads to an investor, and he wanted to build a studio. And he said, "I've got a guy with money. Do you want to go in?" And I'm like, "Sure." We picked this place out in Farmington Hills and started to build it, and there it was. And Ambience is the name of the studio. We had a good name. And Richard Becker has sold us to Gear, another legendary
Pack 3
Detroit engineer from the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
Motown guy. I'm learning now more and more. The gear's more sophisticated. Now we've got bigger machines. More tracks, and we've got noise reduction. All of this stuff is I'm going in fast forward. But there's no business. There's literally, we would pick up the phone, just to see, make sure there was a dial tone, because literally it didn't ring. And I'm thinking, I got to get out of here. Now I was going to move to New York. I started looking to the Yellow Pages. I was going to go and try to, the record plant or the power station or something. And we get a call, Seger and Punch want to come in. Bob's going to do a record.
In our next episode, we'll see just how Gerard navigates his way through some of the world's biggest stars.